Have you ever noticed a strange heaviness in your legs when walking to the kitchen? Or maybe a tingling sensation in your feet while lying in bed at night? Have your legs ever felt unusually tired after doing something simple, like standing at the sink to do dishes or climbing just a few steps? It's easy to brush off those little signals. After all, at our age, we're taught to expect a few aches and quirks. But what if those little signs weren't just about getting older? What if they were your legs trying to tell you something deeper? The truth is, your legs are like a messenger from the rest of your body. They're often the first place you'll feel the signs when something isn't quite right with your circulation, nerves, muscles, or even your heart. And if you learn to listen to them, your legs can actually help you spot and prevent more serious health problems before they get worse. In this video, we're going to talk about 6 hidden signs your legs may be giving you, signs that something deeper might be going on, and why you should never ignore them after the age of 60. Don't worry, this isn't about fear. It's about awareness. Because the more you understand what your body is saying, the better choices you can make to keep yourself strong, mobile, and living life on your own terms. Let's start with something many people shrug off as normal: persistent leg cramps. You might get them at night while you're sleeping, and they feel like a knot pulling tight in your calf or your foot. Or they might hit when you stand up too quickly or walk for a bit. While occasional cramps can happen to anyone, recurring leg cramps, especially if they're intense or come out of nowhere, can be a sign of poor circulation, dehydration, or even nerve issues. I once spoke to a gentleman named Carl, who was 74 and in fairly good shape. He started waking up in the middle of the night with sharp cramps in his lower legs. He figured it was just part of aging. But it got worse. He started avoiding walks, and even his posture changed. Eventually, his doctor discovered he was on a medication that was throwing off his potassium levels, and his circulation wasn't great either. With a few adjustments, more hydration, light stretching before bed, and a new medication schedule, those cramps eased up. His energy came back, and more importantly, he didn't dread going to bed at night. What's important here is not just the cramp itself, but the pattern. If your legs are cramping frequently, especially at rest, it's worth paying attention. Your muscles might be struggling to get the oxygen and nutrients they need, and that could be linked to heart health, nerve function, or something as simple as an electrolyte imbalance. Another early warning sign shows up when your legs feel numb or tingly, especially in your feet and toes. It might feel like pins and needles, or like your socks are bunched up when they're not. This isn't just a strange sensation, it can be a signal from your nervous system. Many times, this kind of numbness is related to peripheral neuropathy, which often starts in the legs and feet and is commonly linked to diabetes. Now, I know many people think, I feel fine otherwise. I don't have diabetes. But that's exactly why this is important to catch early. In fact, one of the first signs of blood sugar trouble often shows up in your feet, not your stomach, your energy, or your appetite. If the nerves in your legs are beginning to misfire, that's your body saying something's off. I remember Martha, a retired nurse in her late 60s, who noticed her toes felt fuzzy, almost like they were wrapped in cotton. She thought it was just her slippers. Then she noticed she was bumping into furniture more often and had trouble feeling the floor when she walked barefoot. Her blood sugar levels were elevated, but she'd never had any symptoms until then. Because she caught it early, she was able to manage it with changes in her diet, and that numbness slowly faded. Her words stayed with me. My feet told me what my doctor hadn't figured out yet. What I want you to take from that is simple. If your legs or feet start feeling strange, like they've gone quiet or disconnected from the rest of your body, don't dismiss it. That's a message worth listening to. Then there's the feeling of leg heaviness, especially when you've been standing or walking for a while. Some people describe it as though they're dragging weights on their ankles. Others say it feels like their legs are moving through water. This kind of heaviness, particularly if it comes with swelling, can point to circulation problems, specifically venous insufficiency, where the veins in your legs struggle to return blood back up to your heart. This is more common than most people realize, especially after 60. As we age, the valves in our veins don't work as efficiently. Blood can start pooling in the lower legs, leading to swelling, aching, and that dragging, tired feeling. Some folks think it's just fatigue, but if your legs always feel heavy after standing, or if they seem more swollen by evening, that's a sign to take seriously. A woman I knew, Helen, had always been active. She was 72 and loved gardening. But she told me her legs started feeling like sandbags by the time she was done pulling weeds or watering the flowers. When she finally saw her doctor, they found her circulation was struggling, and her blood pressure medication wasn't working as well as it used to. A few changes, some compression socks, and light walking breaks during the day made a world of difference. She still gardens, but now she does it smarter and with lighter legs. These kinds of stories aren't rare. They happen all the time. The body has its own quiet way of asking for help. It rarely shouts, but it does whisper. And if we're paying attention to those whispers, we can often prevent the shouts that come later. Now that we've uncovered a few of these signs, cramps, numbness, and heaviness, there's more to explore. Because sometimes, what your legs are saying isn't just about the legs themselves. It could be pointing to your heart, your nerves, even your risk of stroke. And the next signs might be ones you never thought to connect to your legs at all. Because sometimes, what your legs are saying isn't just about the legs themselves. It could be pointing to your heart, your nerves, even your risk of stroke. And the next signs might be ones you never thought to connect to your legs at all. Let's talk about a feeling you might have brushed off more than once: cold feet and legs, even when the rest of your body feels warm. Have you ever been sitting comfortably, maybe with a blanket over you, and realized that from the knees down, you feel chill? You check the thermostat, pull on another pair of socks, maybe wrap your legs up tighter. But the cold stays. This isn't just about winter weather or bad circulation in the usual sense. Cold legs and feet, especially if it happens regularly, can be your body's way of signaling a deeper issue: poor blood flow from the arteries, not just the veins. When your arteries narrow due to plaque buildup, a condition called peripheral artery disease, or PAD, less oxygen-rich blood reaches your legs. And one of the earliest signs is temperature change. That constant coolness, especially if it's only in one leg, or if your feet stay pale or bluish, could be an early red flag. What's even trickier is that PAD is closely linked to heart disease. In fact, many people with PAD have no leg pain at all, but their cardiovascular health is at risk. I met Richard, a retired mechanic, who said he'd always had cold feet. His wife used to joke about it, but he started to notice it wasn't just temperature, it was also numbness. And when he walked up a hill or climbed stairs, he'd get a strange tightness in his calves. It would go away when he rested, so he didn't think much of it. But when his doctor checked him out, they found significant artery blockage. He didn't need surgery, thank goodness, but he did need to change his activity level, stop smoking, and start a light walking routine with supervision. 6 months later, his feet were warmer, his legs stronger, and his energy had improved. Your legs don't lie. If they're cold while the rest of you isn't, it's not just a comfort issue, it's a circulation alert. One worth checking in with your doctor about, especially if you've got a history of high blood pressure or cholesterol. Now let's look at something more subtle, but just as telling: slow healing cuts or bruises on the legs and feet. You bump your shin on the coffee table and expect the bruise to fade in a few days. But it lingers. Or a small scratch from the garden takes weeks to scab over and disappears far more slowly than it should. At our age, we expect the skin to be thinner, sure, But if wounds on your legs are healing slower than the rest of your body, or if you keep developing ulcers or open sores near your ankles, that could be a warning sign of poor immune response, low circulation, or even undiagnosed diabetes. Wound healing depends on oxygen-rich blood getting to the site quickly, and if the legs are struggling to deliver it, even a tiny scratch becomes a struggle. In more severe cases, it can even signal vascular disease, especially if the same area keeps getting injured or infected. A woman named Gloria, 76, told me about a time she got scratched by her cat. It was nothing, really, just a little line on her lower leg. But it stayed red and irritated for nearly 3 weeks, and the skin around it became dry and shiny. She finally brought it up at her regular checkup, and her doctor ordered a vascular screening. Turns out, she had early signs of vein disease. It hadn't caused her pain yet, but her legs were already struggling to keep up with the basics. Catching it early helped her start treatment and prevent future complications. She later said, "That silly cat scratch probably saved my legs." So if you've noticed you're bruising easier, healing slower, or seeing new veins pop up, especially if they're bulging or twisted, it's not vain to be concerned. Your skin is trying to get your attention too. And there's one more sign I want to bring up today. This one is emotional, not just physical, but it still starts in the legs. It's the sudden loss of confidence in your steps. Have you ever stood up and hesitated before walking? Maybe you paused, not because of pain, but because something in your brain whispered, "Be careful." That whisper, that hesitation, that tiny doubt, it's often a response to imbalance. And more than that, it can be a sign that your body knows something's off before you do. When your legs feel unsteady, even without a clear reason, it's not just about muscle. It could be related to neurological changes, inner ear issues, or even early cognitive shifts. The body is remarkably good at sensing instability before the mind has had time to process it. That little "be careful" voice might be your internal system catching signals of slower reaction time, weaker joints, or poor posture. I once worked with a man named Everett, who was in his early 80s. He hadn't had a fall, no pain, no specific issue, but he started feeling anxious while walking, even in familiar places like the grocery store. He began walking slower, shuffling a bit, and taking extra time at crosswalks. We did a balance assessment, and what we found wasn't dramatic, but his reflexes had slowed and his core strength had dipped just enough to make him feel unsure. He started a gentle Tai Chi class, focused on posture and core balance, and within a few months, he told me, "I walk like I trust myself again." That's the key, trust. When your legs no longer feel like they're supporting you, your confidence fades. But that's not the end of the road. It's a cue to pause, reassess, and give your body the attention it's asking for. Because your legs aren't just tools for walking, they're barometers for your whole body's well-being. These signs, coldness, slow healing, and that quiet loss of confidence, might not shout for your attention, but they're the body's way of whispering something's changing. Let's take a closer look. And now that we've heard these whispers, what comes next? Well, that's where hope lives. Because even if you've seen yourself in every one of these stories, there's always something you can do. And in the next few moments, we'll talk about how to respond, what small, powerful actions can help you turn those signals into strength. What comes next? That's where hope lives. Because even if you've nodded along with every one of these signs, if you felt the cramps at night, noticed your feet going numb, wondered why your legs feel heavy or cold, or why small bruises take longer to fade, it's not too late. Not by a long shot. These signs aren't just warnings, they're invitations. Gentle nudges from your body, asking for a little care, a little attention, and a little change. You see, the beauty of the human body, especially after 60, is that it never stops trying to heal. It never gives up on you. Muscles still grow, blood still flows, nerves still adapt. And when we meet our bodies with kindness and curiosity instead of fear or frustration, they often surprise us with how willing they are to bounce back. The first step is simply to notice. Notice the patterns. Notice how your legs feel in the morning compared to the evening. Notice if your feet tingle after sitting, or if they stay cold long after the rest of you has warmed up. Notice if you've been hesitating more before standing, or feeling unsure walking on uneven ground. These aren't things to fear. They're just clues, like puzzle pieces. And when you put them together, they help you see the full picture of your health. Once you've noticed, the next step is to talk to someone. That could be your primary doctor, your podiatrist, or even a physical therapist. You don't need to have a full diagnosis or clear symptoms. You can simply say, "Something feels different in my legs, and I want to understand why." You deserve answers. You deserve to feel seen, and your legs deserve more than just to carry your weight. They deserve to carry your life. Now, you might be wondering, what can I actually do at home? Well, I'll tell you. You don't have to overhaul your routine. You don't need expensive equipment. What you need is consistent, mindful movement. Short daily walks, even just around the house or yard, can boost circulation and reawaken the muscles in your lower legs. Gentle stretches in the morning can ease stiffness and reduce cramping. A few minutes of seated ankle pumps, calf raises, or balance practice next to the kitchen counter. All of these can make a remarkable difference over time. And don't underestimate the value of hydration. Many leg symptoms, especially cramps and sluggish circulation, are linked to dehydration. As we age, our thirst signals weaken, and we often drink less than we need. So try keeping a glass of water nearby and take sips throughout the day, even if you don't feel thirsty. Another small but powerful change: footwear. Supportive shoes, even indoors, can dramatically improve your posture, your stride, and your stability. Your feet are the base of everything. If they're supported, your legs will follow. And let's not forget rest. Not just any rest, but quality rest. Elevating your legs in the evening can help reduce swelling. Putting your feet up on a pillow or resting against a wall gently encourages circulation back to the heart. It's a quiet act of restoration that pays off over time. But more than any tip or routine, what I hope you carry with you is this: you are not powerless. The changes in your legs are not something to accept without question. They're part of a conversation your body wants to have with you. And you have every right to respond with intention, with care, and with belief in your body's ability to adapt, even now. I've seen people who thought they were just slowing down discover they had treatable conditions that, once addressed, gave them their spark back. I've seen people who thought their walking days were over get stronger, steadier, and more confident just by adding 5 minutes of movement a day. I've seen people go from dreading stairs to dancing at weddings. Truly. So if something about today's video spoke to you, I want to encourage you: don't brush it off. Don't let embarrassment or fear keep you from acting. Whether it's scheduling that appointment, starting a leg strengthening routine, or simply switching to better footwear, take that step. And then take another. Because every small action adds up. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, just start by talking to your spouse, your doctor, your best friend, even to us in the comments. This community exists to remind you that you're not going through any of this alone. There are thousands of people just like you, navigating the changes that come with aging, trying to stay active, independent, and joyful. And every story shared is a spark that lights the way for someone else. So I'll leave you with this: your legs aren't just for walking, they're for living. For getting up to greet your grandchildren, for dancing in the kitchen, for strolling at sunset, for traveling, gardening, laughing, serving, and simply being present. Listen to them, care for them, and they will carry you far. If this video gave you insight or encouragement, please take a moment to like it. It really helps others find this content too. And if you'd like more warm, simple, and practical advice to help you live your healthiest life after 60, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We're in this together. And if you feel comfortable, share your thoughts in the comments. What have your legs been telling you lately? What's one small step you're ready to take? Thank you for spending this time with me. You are stronger than you think, and your best days aren't behind you. They're still ahead, just waiting for you to walk into them. Here's to standing tall, moving freely, and living your very best life at any age.